Hello, so I've got the SawStop table saws. I've been using them, giving a little test, but now I'm going to do my first full project with them. What I'm going to make is a little bedside unit. Now I have this panel I glued up of oak, and this is 300mm wide. The top of it, I'm going to have a box with mitered corners. So the first thing to do is get the blade tilted over to 45 degrees. So with the saw, I've also got sent a couple of miter gauges. I've got them all set up, and for this first cut, I'm going to use the smaller of the two. Now you normally put it on this way round, but I get my bit of wood out the way. I'm going to put it on backwards. At the moment, the fence is going to hit the blade, so we need to adjust that. I can just loosen off a couple of Allen-headed bolts and then slide this fence along a bit so it's not going to contact the blade. I've decided to use the Jobsite table saw for this build because it has the larger of the two tables, and I can make it even bigger and give me more support by pulling out this lever and extending the top. I think then I'm all set up, so let's power this saw on and make the first cut. Now for the second cut, I'm going to move the miter gauge to the other side. So instead of changing where the fence is on it, I'm just going to use my second one because I'm lucky enough to have the two. Now, I want to cut this at 35 centimetres. Sorry, wrong way around. On it like that. So I'm going to set up a stop using the fence and a block of wood. So now I can get two pieces cut at 35 centimetres and two at 20 centimetres. That all went well, and it was a bit of a luxury having two miter gauges. Both work well, but I'm particularly fond of the bigger one because it's easier to move the fence with just a couple of thumb screws, and the stop on it is particularly good. So if you want it to sit on the table, it does that nicely, but I had it hanging off the bottom of the table as well, and I can get it so it does that, hangs down a little low, which is great. But also, if you want to fit an auxiliary fence to the miter bar, you can do that and it comes out. So yeah, really interesting features. It's got a little micro adjust on the bottom as well. I think this is definitely going to be my favourite one to use. And it extends. Okay, so let's get this glued up now. I'm actually going to use the saw as my work surface because it's got such a nice flat top and probably flatter than my actual bench. So now we just need to get some PVA glue on this and get it clamped up. Miter joints are not always the strongest on things like picture frames, but because we've got such a large surface area for the glue on this, I think we're going to be fine without any extra reinforcement. Just have a little check, make sure we're all square and we are looking good. So I'm going to leave this to dry and then we can start work on the legs. Now for the legs, I've got some 45mm thick bits of oak and I need to cut them at an angle. Now I've done some rough plans and I've worked out that I need a 6-degree angle on them. So I get the mitre gauge back out. To set the angle, this is the fanciest mitre gauge I've ever used. You just loosen the bar off like normal and then you can choose how you want to adjust it. You got just freeform, 1 degree or degree increments, half degree, quarter degree, 1/10 of a degree. So I'm going to go for 1 degree and then we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over and lock it down. So with that set, now I can get a 6-degree angle cut at one end of my legs. I now need a matching angle at the other end. So I'm going to flip it around and over, and I'm looking at my plans. I can see I want this to be 255mm long, so I can get the stop set up and get it cut. Right, I can get these legs put out onto my plan and they fit where they should, so that's a good sign. But a little gap in between them and I need a piece of wood to go in there. So I've got my offcuts and that already has at one end the 6-degree angle that's going to fit in there perfectly. So I just need to cut another angle on that and then we should have the components for the legs all cut. So that's the leg assembly bits cut. Now I need to join this all together and I'm going to use some dowels. I have a doweling jig, so I'm going to get the holes drilled with that. But if you don't have one, you could just screw this together and plug the holes. So these leg assemblies, I could install them like they are, but what I want to do is have them cross over each other. That means I need to cut a little notch out of each one. So I'm going to get it marked out where it needs to go. So now I can set the blade height to this mark I've drawn. The mitre gauge can then get set back to 90. Then I can nibble away this waste. I'm still not actually ready to get these legs put together because I think they look a little chunky. So I'm just going to mark out at the top where it meets that joining block. And then I'm going to measure in 2 centimeters from the bottom and join those lines up, creating a taper line. Now to cut this, I've knocked together a very simple jig, a bit of wood with 2 other stops on it. So my bit needs to go tapered, goes in against the stop, pushed up against the other one, and then I turn this little block to lock it in place. Now you can see it's just going to cut off exactly where I've drawn the line. We'll take the leg off this for now, and then get my jig pushed up against the blade, get the fence moved up against that and lock it in place. The leg can now get pushed back into the jig and locked into place. Now we can get all 4 of them put through the blade. Finally, we can get these legs put together. So, some glue is going to go in the holes. I'm going to tap some dowels in, get it pushed together and clamped up. I've saved some little offcuts. They're going to help with the angles and the clamping. Right, legs are together. Now I'm just going to wait for these to dry as well. Everything's dried, so it's time for my favourite part of the project. Everything needs a good sand down. Let's get these put together. Tight, but that's perfect. So now we can get some finish on. And what I have is some beeswax oil. So I'm just gonna get this brushed on to all the components before we get it finished put together. Last thing to do then, get these 2 components attached together. So I just need to get this lined up perfectly, and then I've got some little L brackets I'm going to use to attach it. So that is it all done. I'm pretty pleased with the shapes of that. It came out nicely. So that was my first major project using the SawStop saw. I chose the Jobsite. I've also got the CTS. I chose the Jobsite for this project because it has the larger table and it was really useful for cutting these components. The 2 mitre gauges were fantastic as well. I really enjoyed the micro adjusting on one. That was lovely for dialing in these angles. Quite a few angles on this. So I'll put a link down below to SawStop's website so you can check out these products that are coming to the UK very soon now. And I'm going to Harrogate Woodworking Show to be on their booth using the tools. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a few more of these tables while I'm up there. That's the plan if I don't get distracted talking to people the whole day long, but hopefully get some tables built. So I'm putting together a cut list for these, which I think is going to be on the SawStop website as well. So you can check it out and make one of your own. And if you do, please tag me and tag SawStop so we can see. So thank you for watching. Thank you to SawStop for providing the tools to make this. Thanks to my patrons, and please subscribe for more videos.